Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Aris, my friend, right? Thank you. Right? The third person, they earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure by giving a dog water. Right? There was a great figure in Islam from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Imam Muhammad Baqir rahmatullahi alayhi, and his son was Ja'far as-Sadiq rahimahullah. These, the Shias consider them to be imams. We consider them to be imams in the sense that they're great people in the ummah. Imam Shafi, Imam Nawawi, like that imam. We don't give them supernatural qualities, but nonetheless they're great people. Shias made them into something else. But Imam Muhammad Baqir, he told to his son one time, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden three things in three things. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden His pleasure in good deeds. So don't look down at any good deed. Any deed that you do, good deed, it may be a means of earning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Jannah. So there was the prostitute. She gave water to the dog. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her Jannah on that basis. Right? On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He hides His anger in His disobedience. So we might think of a deed as small. It's makruh. That's our main thing. It's not haram, it's only makruh. Right? So we don't do it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His displeasure, His anger, His wrath may be in that thing. So there is that woman who, the Sahaba, they told Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she prays tahajjud, but Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said she's a person of Jahannam. Why? Because she used to abuse her cat. Right? And then the third thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He hides His awliya amongst the people. So don't look down at anybody, because you don't know what their status is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One Imam from a different masjid, he called me. He told me he had a dream. And in this dream, we have like a good friendship, so we always call each other. So he told me that, in this dream there's one person we both know. He was very, very upset, right? He was very upset and he was telling somebody, apologize, like really upset. And then he said that the person who saw the dream, he said he didn't see, but he sensed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came, and then the guy, the kids there, Rasulullah sallallahu basically said, apologize to the guy. So the kids in the dream, they apologized to him, and then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he left, and the guy calmed down. So what do you think of me? I said, I think it means that this guy, though when you see him, is a simple person, he has some status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that him being bothered means that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was upset by that. We don't know. Different people are different. You don't have to like everybody, but don't bother everybody. Okay? So now, coming to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His mercy again, He gives us many different ways to please Him. Remember in the hadith last week, Abu Zar radiyallahu anhu, he told Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Zar, if you can't do any other type of good deed, then what you should do, just save the people from your evil. Don't let your evil come onto them. Today we'll inshallah discuss other types of good deeds. This hadith is also from Abu Zar. Abu Zar radiyallahu anh, he has a lot of ahadith in this chapter. Because we have to understand who is Abu Zar. We talked about him last week, right? He's the Zahid of the Sahaba. And the people who are Zuhad, or as they'll say, the people who are Sufi, Safi. These type of people, they're always trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything. Any little point that they take, they try to turn it into some point about tasawwuf, tazkiyah, something. Right? That's how they are. Everything that they look at in their life, they try to make a means of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Zar was like that. So you'll see he's narrating so many of these hadiths. Okay? Asani an Abi Dharrin aydan, meaning Abu Zar also narrates this hadith in this chapter, radiyallahu an, anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qala, yusbihu ala kulli sulama min ahadikum sadaqa. Meaning each of you wakes up in the morning and each of their joints has to give sadaqah. فَكُلُّ تَسْبِيحَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ. You think that's very difficult. How many joints do we have in our body? And equivalent to the number of joints that we have in our body, we have to give that much sadaqah. In another hadith, I believe it says, it comes later in the chapter, 360 joints that we have in our body. Which of us is able to give sadaqah 360 times in the day? It's a difficult thing to do. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us many different types of sadaqah. Now, in order to understand sadaqah, let's look at it in two ways. One way that you could say the traditional understanding that we have of sadaqah, what do we translate it as? Charity, right? Charity. So many of these things, you're sharing something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, you're sharing that with somebody else. So for example, you have some happiness within you, right? You have, if you're waiting to pray, you can pray upstairs, no problem. I don't want you to be with. Okay. Right? So if you have some happiness within you, for example, by smiling, what you're doing is you will be sharing some of that happiness with somebody else, right? So this is one way, something that Allah has given you, whether it's something physical, whether it's something that's emotional, you're sharing it with somebody else. That's one way of looking at sadaqah. So even the azkar that we do, right? Even that, what we're doing is the ruhaniyat, the connection with Allah that Allah has given us. We are doing something, we're displaying that. And number one, it's causing barakah to come in the world. Number two, it's turning away some fitna that may be coming on people. And number three, we may be encouraging people towards also remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're attracting the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the barakah of Allah, the mercy of Allah, it's an ocean. It's not going to be restricted to one person. It may restrict many, it may come to many other people as well. Another way that we can look at it is the word sadaqah is from the word sidq. Sidq means to be true. And a siddiq is the one who is the truest in action. And we spoke about this as well. So every good deed that we do that shows, that proves that we have iman upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that shows the truth of our iman, this can also be construed as sadaqah. I'm just saying these are ways to think of it. Now, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, what are the different types of sadaqah? فَكُلُّ تَسْبِيحَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ. Each time a person says subhanallah, this is sadaqah. وَكُلُّ تَحْمِيدَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ. Each time a person says alhamdulillah, sadaqah. وَكُلُّ تَهْلِيلَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ. Every la ilaha illallah is sadaqah. So what do we advise in the morning? Every person should read third kalima 100 times. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Wa kullu takbiratin sadaqah. Every Allahu Akbar is sadaqah. You have 360 joints. By just reading this tasbih 100 times, you did 400 sadaqah. Right there, right? Because 100 for each. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, times 100. وَأَمْرٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ صَدَقَةً. To encourage others to do good. This is sadaqah as well. Because you have this goodness within you. You have good thought and niyyah, you want to share that with others. وَنَهْيٌ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ صَدَقَةً. Preventing others from sinning, from doing bad things, indecent things, there's also sadaqah. وَيُجْزِئُ مِنْ ذَلِكَ رَكْعَتَانِ يَرْكَعُهُمَا مِنَ الضُّحَى. Rawahu Muslim. Rasulullah ﷺ said something else that will suffice for all the sadaqah needed in a day is if a person prays Salatul Duha, 2 rakats, Chash Salah. Chash Salah, when does it begin? It begins anytime after Ishraq time begins. 20-30 minutes after the sun comes. 20 minutes is safe, right? After that, a person can pray Ishraq, you could pray Chash at that time, Duha at that time as well. But the best time is to wait a little bit longer till the sun gets high in the air. Not at its highest point, but let's say around, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. This is the ideal time to pray duha. But if a person is busy, you could pray Ishraq, and right after Ishraq, you could pray Salatul Duha as well. In this hadith, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed us many different ways to get good deeds. But as we'll see in the next hadith, good deeds are not restricted to acts that we associate with ibadah only. الثالث عنه قال, again Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu narrates, says قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, عُرِضَتْ عَلَيَّ أَعْمَالُ أُمَّتِي. The deeds of my ummah, they were presented to me. Okay, now how? They were presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, could have shown him, these are all of the deeds that the people in the ummah will do. Or individually the deeds of people could have been shown to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In some other ahadith, it says that on Mondays and Thursdays, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is shown the deeds of the ummah in his grave, right? So imagine, if Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam sees us abusing, ignoring the sunnah, what will he think? What will he think when we're committing all sorts of sins and claiming that we're from his ummah? These are sahih ahadith, you could look them up. Okay? عُرِضَتْ عَلَيَّ أَعْمَالُ أُمَّتِي. The deeds of my ummah were presented to me. حَسَنُهَا وَسَيِّئُهَا. The good and the bad. So now think, sometimes when you do a good deed, this good deed is also a means of pleasing Allah, but Rasulullah ﷺ will get happy for it as well. It's a sadaqah jariyah for him. فَوَجَدْتُ, so I found فِي مَحَاسِنِ أَعْمَالِهَا, in the good deeds that people did, al-adha yumatu anit tariq, removing some obstruction from the road. And in another hadith in Muslim Sharif, it says that this is the lowest branch of iman, meaning if there's something in the path that will harm someone and you move it, this is a sign of iman. So this is something we should try to do. Alhamdulillah, this is one thing. I don't do amalan, a lot of things, but this I do amalan. And if I just see something, even if I pass it, I'll just go and just kick it off the road. Sometimes you're walking, it's just a rock on the sidewalk, just kick it onto the grass. Why? Because it's showing I have iman, at least, right? Or kuch bhi nahi, iman to hoga, right? Inshallah. Right? وَوَجَدْتُ فِي مَسَاوِ أَعْمَالِهَا, and I found in the bad deeds of the people, النُّخَاعَةُ تَكُونُ فِي الْمَسْجِدِ لَا تُدْفَنُ. A person will spit in the masjid and they won't bury it. In Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there's no carpet. It was just sand. So they were allowed to spit in the masjid if they needed to, but they had to bury it. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, something as insignificant as that. Nowadays, think about, you find something in your pocket, there's some crumbs in your pocket, and you just take it out and you throw it on the ground in the masjid. Think of it compared to that. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, this is a bad deed. This is something, right? So, the good deeds are easy. Moving something out of the way. The bad deeds are also, sometimes we don't realize what they are, so we should just be cognizant of it. There's certain people, I don't have to name the names, anytime you see them when they come in the masjid, they always pick up something off the ground. When we were little, they used to tell us that for every piece of trash that you pick up in the masjid, you'll get one hur. And they used to just tell us to encourage us to do that, right? But if that's the case, Manzoor Bhai and Abdullah, they have more hur than anybody, right? MashaAllah. Rawahu Muslim. وَالرَّابِعْ عَنْهُ, and we'll finish with this one. أَنَّ نَاسًا قَالُوا, the people said, Ya Rasulullah, again Abu Zar narrates this hadith as well. ذَهَبَ أَهْلُ الدُّثُورِ بِالْأُجُورِ. The poor people, look at how much they wanted good deeds. They say, Ya Allah, Ya Rasulullah, the rich people, they take all of the reward. يُصَلُّونَ كَمَا نُصَلِّي. They pray like we pray. وَيَصُومُونَ كَمَا نَصُومُ. They fast like we fast. وَيَتَصَدَّقُونَ بِفُضُولِ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. But they give sadaqah, we can't give sadaqah because we don't have money. قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, أَوَلَيْسَ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ مَا تَصَدَّقُونَ بِهِ. Didn't Allah give you something to do sadaqah with? Inna bi kulli tasbihatin sadaqa. Every tasbih is sadaqa. Every subhanallah is sadaqa. Wa kullu takbiratin sadaqa. Every Allahu Akbar is sadaqa. Wa kullu tahmidatin sadaqa. Every alhamdulillah is sadaqa. Wa kullu tahlilatin sadaqa. Every la ilaha illallah is sadaqa. Wa amrun bil ma'ruf sadaqa. Ordering the good is sadaqa. Wa nahyun 'anil munkari sadaqa. Preventing the evil is sadaqa. Wa fi bud'i ahadikum sadaqa. Having relations with one's wife, with one's spouse, this is also sadaqah. So see, it doesn't have to just be ibadah. قالوا ya Rasulullah. They said, Ya Rasulullah, ayati ahaduna shahwatahu. One of us could fulfill our desires. وَيَكُونُ لَهُ فِيهَا أَجْرٌ. And we'll have ajr. Meaning there's pleasure in that, right? There's pleasure in that and you'll get reward. قال Rasulullah said, أَرَأَيْتُمْ لَوْ وَضَعَهَا فِي حَرَامٍ. That, tell me, if you fulfill this desire of yours in a haram place, أَكَانَ عَلَيْهِ فِيهَا وِزْرٌ. Would the person be punished? فَكَذَلِكَ إِذَا وَضَعَهَا فِي الْحَلَالِ كَانَ لَهُ أَجْرٌ. Similarly, when this desire is put in its right place, كَانَ لَهُ أَجْرٌ. The person is rewarded. So see, a person spends time with their wife, has intimate relations with their spouse, right? And this is sadaqah. It's very easy when a person has a good niyyah. And this is something, I'll say, it's mostly adults, everybody is mature, even if not married. This is something to keep in mind from both sides. Some people watch on YouTube, right? It's a thing to keep in mind from both sides, right? From men's side, in this act, sometimes we're just worried about ourselves, right? However, you have to also make sure that they get some pleasure out of it, right? Because that's the sadaqah part of it. Even if you want to go to sleep, right? You have to make sure that they're also satisfied. So this is all the sadaqah part of it. You have to think about it, right? It's not just about me, it's about the other person, right? And this desire is within people, right? From both sides, from men and women. Sometimes men might show it more. Women, they have this desire as well. That's why in all of the books of fiqh, it says if a man is unable to perform, then if he doesn't get if after treatment nothing happens, the wife can get a separation from him, right? Because this is within the fitrah of a person, right? These are the needs that human beings, they have, right? So we should be mindful, and also women should also be mindful about this. In the hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if a wife refuses the husband without any excuse, then the angels, they'll curse them till morning. Now sometimes what happens is, in this era that we're living in, feminist dominated era, women get very offended when they hear things like this. So what they do is they try to reinterpret the ahadith, reinterpret the Quran. So then, like I see, there's some scholar, there's all these questions about, controversy. There's a program he has about women. Women are asking him about controversial ahadith, basically ahadith that women don't like when they view them through the Western context. So then he asks about this, and then he goes like this, and he makes it out to be that, no, she could refuse, right? Why is there no sukoon in homes? Think about that. In some homes, if the angel is cursing one member of the household on a daily basis, what sukoon is there going to be in the home, right? When a person follows the Sharia, when a person follows the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then what will happen? Then barakah will come in the homes. Then barakah will come in our lives. But again, we have to look at it from, you have to do your part. If your rights are not being fulfilled, that's different. We already talked about this many times in Riadul Saliheen. Sharia never tells you, go and demand your rights. Rather, it says, know the rights that others have on you, fulfill them. Inshallah, they'll fulfill the rights for you. And then one other thing, I spoke about this in tafsir as well. I'm not going to belabor the point now. But sometimes when there's problems between the spouses, it's because you're on a different wavelength. Because your love language is different. You show love in a different way, and they perceive love in a different way. And everybody's love is going to come in 5 ways, right? Either love is going to be expressed and felt through praise, right? Words of affirmation. Or it's going to be through touch. Some people, that's their thing. Other people, quality time. Other people, gifts. Other people, doing something for them. Acts of service, right? You may feel one type of thing. Your thing might be quality time, whereas your spouse is just help me out, right? Just help me. So you keep trying to spend time. She's like, leave me alone, I'm trying to do dishes. If you want to help me, just do the dishes. Leave me alone. And the man is thinking, I'm trying to take all my time out and just spend time with you. You're so mean to me. You never want to give me attention. All you want to do is clean dishes, right? But then all you want to do is cook food and this and that. You're taking things out for me. I want to sit with you. It's one different wavelengths, right? All of these you could take from the Sunnah. We'll talk about that at a different time. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed all of these different types of love. You figure out what type of person your spouse is, show that, and inshallah they'll show it back to you. Then inshallah, pot sadaqah hoga. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.